So growing a container garden, it can be a lot less work than a row garden, but there's just a few things we need to consider before we set up our garden. So today we're going to explore the foundation of our container garden and learn some ways to keep the ground maintenance low so we can enjoy our garden more. So we're going to explore 4 questions. What do we set the containers on? How do we maintain the ground around our containers? Will we have weeds and mud, and how to reduce our ground maintenance? So number 1, what do we set the containers on? So if you put your containers on a cement patio or a wooden deck, this will work great to keep the mud and the weeds down. The only problem with this is that the water that leaks out of your containers can stain the patio or the deck, so you just need to be aware of that. The next choice is putting the containers on your lawn, bare dirt, or an old garden. So having the containers on the ground and watering them can create mud, and weeds can grow around your containers. So this can cause you to have to move your containers to mow or weed. So a few solutions to this is to put the containers on some gravel or some mulch. This will control the amount of mud, but it's really not going to control the weeds that are going to grow. So weed barrier is a great solution to keeping the weeds down and helping to control the mud. And after you put down the weed barrier, you can put your decorative mulch or gravel on top. Now, there are several types of weed barriers on the market. Some work really well for decades, and some won't even last a season. All right, so there's 2 different types of weed barrier on the market. One is woven and one is non-woven. So this is the non-woven weed barrier, and it's fairly see-through. It's just kind of a fabric that's woven. And what I find is, there's almost even a hole, and this is brand new, is that the weeds come right through this. This doesn't even last a season. I've tried it before. It's not the kind that I would choose. So the other type of weed barrier is the woven weed barrier, like this. And it's actually plastic that's woven together. Now, if you maintain this well, this can last up to 30 years. We have one of our greenhouses that's about 36 years old, and it's still hanging in there. So there are a couple things you need to do to maintain this. So one of the things that we have learned is if you just cut it with the scissors, we get a lot of fraying. And so we've learned that if we cut it with a wood burning tool, so you plug this in, it gets real hot, and then you just come along the edge and you cut that with a wood burning tool, it actually melts the plastic back together and you don't get the fraying. But if you have a piece like this and it's frayed, you can heat up your tool and then you can just cut along there, and then you got a sealed edge. Super, super helpful if you're using the weed barrier. The other thing we learned about the weed barrier is you need to lift it every year and get the dirt off the top of it, because that's how the weeds grow through it. So I want to show you this one. It was in the ground for 2 years. And as you can see, the plants, the seeds got started on top and started growing. The roots can actually grow down through the weed barrier, and then the roots will come out on the back side. So if you will move your containers, lift your weed barrier, clean it off, lay it back down, it's going to perform so much better for you the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 36 years later. So that's just one of the things that we've learned. So this one, what I can do with it is I'll actually flip it upside down. So I'm going to put the top of the plant down, and I will put the roots. The roots are going to be up, and that will actually kill the weeds. So you can also just flip your weed barrier, but do plan on lifting it and getting it cleaned off every year so that it can last you a long time and you don't have a lot of weeds. So if you think ahead and set up in a way to maintain the ground for weeds and mud, your container garden is going to be a lot less work. If you'd like to learn more about growing a garden, you can jump into our High Performance Garden Show. There we teach you about gardening, growing, trellising, harvesting, so you can have the best success. There's over 300 episodes for you to learn from. It's free, it's online, and you can find it at thelivingfarm.org/high-performance-garden-show, or click the link below.